Sorry, hello everyone. Yeah, welcome to the stream. And this is going to be a Bruce Davis stream, but I've got to issue a massive correction, right? And my full sequence of events diagram was also wrong, right? I've got Cielo Drive happening on the 8th and the La Bianca's happening on the 9th, and that's wrong, right? It's the 9th and the 10th. So yeah, that's the correction. So I'll just change the title of this stream. Don't worry, there's still a stream here because this is about Bruce Davis's parole hearing and why it was postponed. Anyway. But it is a strange fucking reason as well. So we'll get into that. But yeah, sorry about that. I've issued a correction. I'm going to update. I've updated the diagram in my group already. And I've left a pinned comment on the streams where I've shown that diagram. Basically, the stream dicked out completely. Sorry. I thought I was going to have to start it again. Can you hear me again now? Sorry, something went wrong with the internet there. I'll just have to edit that out. I thought I would have to start it again. Luckily, I haven't lost you all. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I'm back now. Can you hear me? Yeah, is it back? Yeah. Oh, jolly good. Right, well, what was I saying? Well, I just had to issue that correction. Anyway, my internet is messing about. If that happens again, hopefully I'll be able to get back as soon as possible. The CIA must be on to me. Maybe I'm going to reveal something really bad tonight and say, yeah, they're fucking with my internet connection. Right, am I definitely back now? Right, I'll carry on. Right, well, the stream is about, well, this article. Let me get that queued up. I found it's from the Daily Mail. Found this on Reddit. Yeah, he's had his parole hearing postponed after he appeared on a podcast called The Lighter Side of Serial Killers, serving life for his role in killing musician 34 and Hollywood stuntman 35 in 1969. So yeah, this is the article basically, and the podcast is still up online. You can find the podcast. He's done 2 episodes of it, and it is quite a strange podcast because the guy is apparently an ex-prison chaplain, and it's kind of a weird approach for someone who's worked in the justice system to take to it. Like, it's very light-hearted the way he's talking to these people, and I haven't googled exactly who the other people are. There are names that I've heard of, but everyone that he interviews is, a killer, and it's quite strange. But yeah, right. But yes, basically, and they've scheduled it to August the 8th, which is really quite close to the anniversary of the deaths, isn't it? It was actually 9. Was the 9th was actually when Cielo Drive happened. But yeah, it's very close to the date of the murders, so it seems in bad taste, doesn't it? And suggests the people that are looking at this case now are young and don't know all the details of the Manson family murders and that, doesn't it? They just see these old people; they don't know what's happening. That's it. Well, now his parole hearing has been postponed because he's appeared on these 2 podcasts, apparently, and they're still up. You can find them on Spotify. No, I've listened to one of them, which is the second one he did. Apparently, there's another one as well, and it's that one that is probably the one that's messed up his parole hearing. And it says in this article, I won't read out the whole thing, but it basically says something about he can't, he's not reflecting well enough on why he committed these violent crimes or something like that. He doesn't understand, he's not reflecting well on why he did it or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Is Billy Doyle outside fucking with my internet connection? Yeah. No, I'm not talking about him tonight, though, am I? That's it. Talking about Bruce Davis. Oh, yes, and Casey Fields has done me this timeline of stuff for Bruce Davis because, yeah, I did a poll as well to ask people their opinion about Bruce Davis. And, yeah, everyone thinks that he committed more murders than he was convicted of. Basically, more than half of you think that he was convicted of more. But, yeah, the slides, yes. Just gotta find it and edit this out. This is a slide, right? This is what Bruce Davis is actually convicted of, right? He took part in the Gary Hinman thing. He held a gun on Gary Hinman while Charles Manson slashed his face. And he also was supposed to have gone back there later to help steal the vehicles because there were 2 vehicles that they took. And he's also convicted of stabbing Shorty Shay, being involved in stabbing Shorty Shay, one of several people, and have done streams about both these murders. And I want to do more about Gary Hinman as well because there's so much said in the penalty phase about it. Of the Tate La Bianca trial, which is weird because they didn't need to talk about it, but she starts going on about Bobby a lot. Susan Atkins does. Oh, sorry, my cat's moving around. Don't know if that affected the mic. Yeah, that's what he's actually convicted of. But everyone thinks that he's committed more murders, obviously, and the other diagram. I have. This is by Casey Fields. He's got the group No Sense Makes Sense on Facebook. This is a timeline of events. This is it, and basically here's the timeline of Bruce's life from the age of 13. Apparently in 1955 he was raped by a teacher and beaten by his father. So at 16 years old, he's arrested for the first time. Then he graduates high school. Then he he began university but dropped out in the fall of 1961. And then he moved to California for the first time in 62 and travelled to Seattle to stay with a friend and work briefly in Lake Tahoe. In 1963, he returned to Tennessee. And at 21 years old in 1964, he returned to California and worked in orchards on the coast. In 1965, he began taking drugs, marijuana and LSD. 1965, he returned to Tennessee again. 1966, he moved to Arizona and worked as a road surveyor. And 1966, he returned to Southern California and lived in Anaheim and Riverside. November of 1966, he disappeared, and this is because people think he was the Zodiac, so he's dropped in a few of the possible Zodiacs he could have done. So they don't know his whereabouts in November of 1966, and Sherry J. Bates is murdered, and it's a possible Zodiac one, but this isn't even a confirmed Zodiac murder, I don't think, this one. This is one that people think might have been the Zodiac. And in 1967, he spent 10 days in Los Angeles County Jail. In 1967, he's allegedly in Santa Barbara, and in September 1967, allegedly in Pontifex, Oregon, or Washington State. And then, we get to early 1968. He first meets Charles Manson in Topanga Canyon. In spring of 1968, he met Gary Hinman and became friends. So that's how long he knew Gary Hinman. March of the 9th, 1968, arrested in Los Angeles for marijuana. And on March the 13th and 14th, 1968, he wrecked a Harley-Davidson motorcycle in Malibu. One of those days. March the 16th, 1968, he's arrested with the family in Topanga Summit Trail home. And April 4th, 1968, marijuana charges dismissed. May the 2nd, 1968, he's arrested with the family at a Summer Trail Topanga home in possession of marijuana. May the 6th, 1968, he's released. So, they held him for a long time just for marijuana. Early summer of June, returned home to Tennessee. June the 16th, 1968, his father died and he refused to attend the funeral but attended the estate settling. And in October 1968, he boarded a shipping freighter bound for Spain, possibly a Scientology ship. And in fall of 1968, he met several young women who took him to Portugal, Spain, North Africa, Belgium and England. In November 1968, he arrived in London and worked in the mailroom at Scientology's Surrey headquarters and lived at Dormer Cottage in East Grinstead. And there's a video of me visiting that place. It's a ruin now, and we got into it and I filmed it. That's Dormer Cottage where he stayed in 1968. In December 1968, eyewitness claims to have seen Davis in Berkeley, California, I suppose they. Most likely false. In December the 20th, 1968, Benicia, California. First confirmed Zodiac murder, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen. But when did he return to the UK, though, if he was in America? In London, sorry. When did he return from the UK? Was he even in America when the first one happened? Oh, and down here, in April 1968, Sandra Good and Manson left Joel Pugh. Yeah, Sandra Good met Manson, and left Joel Pugh, because she's married to this guy, Joel Pugh, and this is another one people suspect he might have killed him. Oh, good, so he returns to Los Angeles, fired by Scientology due to drug use on April 21st, 1969. In late April 1969, he returned to Los Angeles. So when did he return from London? So I remember there's an article about the Joel Pugh thing, and it was really hard to find the journalist that studied it. And he's in my video of us going to the Dormer Cottage. He's the guy that falls over, the guy that wrote that Joel Pugh article. He researched him a great deal. And it's hard to find the exact dates of his passport stamps when he returned, because he's supposed to have gone back as well, but that's the details of that are really sketchy. Come back to the UK after the murders. Right, so he rejoins the family at Spahn Ranch in early May 1969. June the 4th, he and Grogan beat Mike Deasy's ass. June the 30th, 1969, applied for a new driver's license under the name Jack Paul McMillan. July 23rd, 1969, camping at Devil's Canyon with the family, Chatsworth. July the 25th, 1969, held a gun on Gary Hinman when Manson slashed Hinman's face. August the 9th, 1969, possibly at Cielo home as part of the cleanup crew. Yeah, because this is not mentioned in police reports or anything, but it's believed a huge cleanup crew went to Cielo and moved bodies around and did all sorts. And a lot of people believe, some people won't believe it, but a lot of people believe Manson himself went up there and helped move the bodies around and staged the crime scene. And he was always really sketchy about who he took with him. He would never confirm who he took with him. But a lot of people think it might have been Bruce or TJ. But I've heard TJ wasn't even around when Cielo Drive happened, so I'm not sure about that. And then August 26, 1969, participated in the murder of Shorty Shay. Early September, campfire near Gola Walsh. Mid-September, drove a white Stoke body truck from Spahn Ranch to Death Valley. September 25th, 1969, with Grogan and Postponed at the base of Gola Walsh. October 6, 1969, used stolen credit card in Las Vegas. Used stolen credit card at Baker Phillips 68 station. Dropped 5 55-gallon drums, St. Anderson Ranch, Death Valley. Right, so he used a stolen credit card to buy petrol, is that? Gasoline? I don't know. October the 10th, 1969. Manson, Davis, and Watson attempt to kill Watkins and Crockett. I didn't know about that, but yeah, but they was going to kill Watson and Crockett. October the 12th, at dusk, Barker Ranch raid, Davis arrested along with Manson and others. Late October, Davis got released, right? And November the 3rd, moved into Mark Ross's Venice Beach home. November the 5th, Davis is present for the John Christopher Hort's death. That's the death of Zero. I've done a stream about him as well. Oh yes, and November 22nd in LA is when the young Scientologists are killed. I've done a stream about this as well. And I think this is unlikely to have been Bruce Davis. But yeah, do watch the case because it's horrible. It's still unsolved. They don't know who did it. And, you know, talking about it, someone might know something and they'll make a deathbed confession or something and confirm what happened because it was awful. Yeah, but I don't think it was Bruce Davis. But that is when the Scientology murders happened. Yeah, and then December the 1st, Joel Pugh gets found dead. Oh, yes, yeah. And yeah, November 23rd, 24th, Bruce allegedly travels to London, but this is the one that's really hard to confirm. But it's also been said that he was taking drugs that were stolen from Cielo Drive and he sold them in London. And then Joel Pugh dies. And Joel Pugh, it was decided was suicide, but it was a really weird way of committing suicide. Basically, he died from like cutting himself and he wrote on the walls. I don't know what was written on the walls. I can't find any police reports of what he actually wrote. But it's just that he'd written on the walls and this sort of thing, which is strange. And so obviously people think that sounds like the Manson family, obviously writing on the walls in blood and that, but it's possibly just bloody a nervous breakdown because he was married to Sandra Good, one of the Manson family, so he was really close to that, you know what I mean? So yeah, did Bruce kill him? And we don't even know if he was in that country, in London. Basically, we can't really truly confirm it. This is after the murders. Right, January the 21st, 1970, is arrested for receiving stolen property. February the 24th, 1970, arrested in Bakersfield for attempting to buy guns with a fake driver's license. February 1970, Framey alleged that Ginny Gentry and Paul Watkins attempted to overdose Davis to prevent him from testifying. February the 27th, 1970, arraigned in Inyo County on federal weapons charges. March the 7th, 1970, arrested in Sacramento attempting to buy guns with fake identification. March, transferred to Los Angeles on federal weapons charges. March the 14th, 1970, transferred back to Sacramento to face federal weapons charges. March the 15th, 1970, released, given the dates to appear. April the 6th, 1970, cited by the police in Los Angeles. April the 20th, 1970, married Nancy Pittman and used the alias Mark Rollins Grant, making it a non-legal marriage, and I never knew that as well. Yeah, Bruce Davis married Nancy Pittman, and then he goes on the run, allegedly living in underground sewers with Nancy Pittman. November 28th, 1970, Ronald Hughes, last seen near Sespe Hot Springs, allegedly died in a flood. December the 2nd, 1970, under Manson's orders, Davis turned himself in at Los Angeles County Court, charged with 2 counts of murder and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder and robbery. So he was charged for going back and stealing the trucks later as well, then, for Hinman. And on September the 6th, 1970, Lake Tahoe, Donna Lass was kidnapped and murdered. From Casino Hotel, she and Davis worked at possible Zodiac victim. Alright, so she worked at the same hotel as him. And he didn't hand himself in until December the 2nd, so maybe. On March the 23rd, 1970, in Patterson, the kidnapping of Kathleen Johns, alleged Zodiac victim, allegedly identified Davis as kidnapper. Right, so there was a woman who was kidnapped by Davis and identified him. So yeah, why haven't we heard more about that? I have to look into that as well. That's a crazy one. So yeah, this is another one when people going about how long it took them to catch Charles Manson. That's quite weird that they let him go and let him carry on, and he was still running all over the world and allegedly killing people and that. That's crazy. Oh, you like Nancy Pittman, do you? Yeah, she's Brenda, isn't she? They call her Brenda whenever they're talking about Brenda. That's Nancy Pittman. Yeah. Sorry, just get the chat for a minute. Yeah. Like I say, I've always been skeptical about him having committed other crimes just because of looking at the MO of the Manson family and that the other crimes don't sound the same as what they did. But yeah, a lot of people seem to believe that he's capable of having done more murders and probably did more murders than we'll ever know. So yeah, can't argue with that. Yeah, it was a busy freak. And it's crazy that he travelled all over the world with these Scientology women, and they took him all over the world. And the guy who I should have got the Joel Pugh article up so I could show you it. But the guy found that Joel Pugh had also travelled to all those same locations that Bruce Davis had been to, which is strange. And they're a big country, so does that mean they met, or does he know him, or what? And he was married to Sandra Good, and she left him for Charles Manson, basically. Oh, I can't get off that screen now. Oh, there you go. Right. Yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. Anyways, well, this is a different night. I wanted to try and stream more regularly. And I've got a good stream coming up as well, a Cramwinkle stream. Because CLO Drive showed a newspaper article. Because you can't find the volumes of her testimony. They're not on CLODrive.com, and that's the only place I ever known to look for the trial transcripts. No one can find the... excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough. The transcripts of Patricia Krenwinkel's trial testimony during the penalty phase. And CLO Drive showed a newspaper article that gives some of it. And I thought, oh, wow, I'll see if there's any more. And I couldn't find anything. And I had the impulse to type her name into archive.org. And I found there's loads of newspaper articles about her. There's more newspaper articles about her testimony. So that's all we're going to get about her testimony. And another crazy thing that's related to Krenwinkel and her lawyer. And him hiring a private detective. And there's actually proof because they have to go to the High Court in London for some crazy reason. And the PI is questioned and says, yeah, I was hired by Patricia Krenwinkel's lawyer. And it's like, why did Patricia Krenwinkel's lawyer hire a private detective? So that's actually proof that private detectives were getting hired to investigate things by the legal people. So yeah, we'll get talking about that. Yeah, then there's an episode that happened, one of the really famous episodes in court. So yeah, tune in for that one. That'll be Sunday I do that. Yeah. Oh, what? I'm your favourite Manson girl. Yeah, people used to say I look like Susan Atkins, and I said that for a while though, luckily. Yeah. I've never heard she was pregnant with Bruce's baby. No, I can't remember. Someone that is known who the father of her baby was. And no, she was never pregnant again, I don't think. Unless she had an abortion and they've covered it up. She had an illness during her trial, but that was said to be like a bowel complaint, basically. It was constipation, so I doubt that that's her getting an abortion or anything. Yeah, but that's crazy as well. He got when the others were all being held. He was and in the end he handed himself in because Charlie ordered him to. Right, right as the trial started, basically. So what the fuck was that? You know, people say it's weird Manson got away with it for as long as he did. Actually, they nicked him quite quickly. Or was Bruce just left to wonder? Wonder if they were still watching Bruce, yeah, because they were still wanted to know what the gang was up to. Maybe they were still fucking getting information from him. Hmm. Sorry, just looking at the chat. Oh god, my cat's leaping all over the place. Hopefully he won't keep knocking the mic. But yeah, I did ask for people's opinions so I could look into ones that people think he did and that, but no one really left many comments. No one's like got specific murders they think he committed. But I've done a stream about Doreen Gall and James Sharp, which is the Scientology murders. And it doesn't look like it was anything to do with Scientologists either. My impulse was that it was bikers because they were run over and beaten with chains. And but that doesn't. I don't think that was Bruce. Bruce only actually lived in the same place as her for 3 days before she moved out. So he didn't really have a chance to get to know her and have a relationship with her and that. Yeah. Who do you mean? Susan Atkins dropping acid and smoking pot. What's you see my cat's ass? There you go. There, your tail's famous, right? You don't know what's going on, do you? No. Oh. Where are you going? So you don't even know where he's going. He's just stood there. Yeah, well, a lot of women still did a lot of drugs in those days, didn't they? Sharon Tate apparently wouldn't drink, would she? And didn't smoke when she was pregnant. Or I've not seen any proof that she still smoked when she was pregnant. Hmm. Yeah, Susan Atkins. I did find something actually. I found a study when I was doing like just research on LSD research. I found this. They really did do a study to see if taking LSD when you're pregnant does anything. You know, alters the baby in any way. And I don't think they found any. I think they found that it didn't, or something, or it seemed like they exaggerated it. They made it sound like it did when it didn't. It was like the health organizations manufactured this study to put women off taking LSD or whatever. Yeah, you would think it could affect brain development, wouldn't you? But who knows? Really, yeah, I'll have to find the study. Yeah, if people are interested in that, yeah, because I bookmarked it. I'm sure, yeah, because when I was looking into it, I thought it was interesting. They did actually do a study to check if LSD in fact affected the development of fetuses, basically. Oh, my cat's leaning right against the mic. There you go. Yeah. Now he's purring. You have to sit right there and do that. I haven't got the heart to throw him off, so poor thing. He normally sits on the windowsill. People like seeing the cat as well, don't they? Yeah. Yeah, well, there's the fetal alcohol syndrome as well, isn't there? People that drink. But these things happen in the later stages as well. It doesn't actually matter so much early on, apparently, because the brain doesn't fully develop until the very last couple of months. So it's only like the last couple of months. But that's this fetal alcohol syndrome, and yeah, and crack cocaine makes babies born blind and deaf and stuff, doesn't it? And babies whose mothers are addicted to drugs are born addicted to drugs, and that it's a fucking horrible business, yeah. Yeah, and I've known women who've been pregnant addicted to heroin, and you can't come off heroin because you'd have a miscarriage. The baby would go into shock. The fetus would go into shock. So you have to stay on heroin, and the baby has to be born addicted to heroin, which must be horrible. Sorry, just looking at the chat. Yeah, the cat. He is cute, yeah. Good Sam as well. Sam hasn't shown up yet, has he? Or has he? Have I missed Sam's comment? Yeah, sorry about the internet dropping out as well. I don't know what that was all about. But yeah, and that timeline, I will make it available in my Facebook group. But yeah, look at Casey Field's Facebook group as well. No Sense Makes Sense. If you're interested in dates, specific things happen. He's like a goldmine of information on that sort of stuff. And he put that together for me. Yeah. I say I will show it again. So I just read it out quite fast, didn't I? But yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that he was released and spent all that time out of prison while the others were in prison. And yeah, but then think about it. How did I not know that? Because he was he was there for zero money and that. Yeah, and that makes me think maybe they were still surveilling him or whatever. That's why. Yeah, yeah. Sam hasn't shown up yet. Yeah, but the podcast that he did. Yeah, let me have a look at this article a bit more. It's quite interesting. Oh, sorry. Yeah, when I had to refresh, it's unloaded everything. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know what happened there as well. The internet, my hub wasn't showing any problem at all, but my computer just disconnected and reconnected a couple of times from the internet. Yeah, and like I say, you can find the podcast. I've shared the one episode of it I've found, but you can find it on Spotify. There's 2 episodes, and the second episode is more damning. Yeah, if you hear, you probably already know what he's serving life in prison for, and I've explained that. He appeared on the Lighter Side of Serial Killers podcast after giving 2 phone interviews in February and April 2023 about his Christian faith. But he also talks about his time with the Manson family and all that as well. Davis wrote a Christmas card to the host Keith Rouvere, former prison chaplain. He said was excited for his January parole hearing, which was later postponed to August the 8th. A member of Charles Manson's murderous cult has had his parole hearing postponed after he appeared on a true crime podcast. Bruce Davis, I've told you this already, 81, has been serving life in prison since 1972 for his role in the murders of musician Gary Hinman, 34, and Hollywood stuntman Donald Shorty Shea, 35. He appeared on the Lighter Shade of Serial Killers podcast after giving 2 phone interviews in February and April 2023 about his Christian faith and upcoming book, which he's writing in prison. Davis even wrote a Christmas card to host Keith Rouvere, who is a former prison chaplain, where he expressed his excitement for his upcoming parole hearing on January the 18th. But this was postponed to August the 8th after his podcast appearance, as parole commissioners voiced concerns, according to him. And that's him with Daishin. Daishin was his lawyer as well. Look, I assume that must be. Yeah. With his attorney outside at the Hall of Justice. I assume that looks like Daishin. Is that Daishin? And he was absolutely useless. He's the one that let Susan Atkins totally make herself look nuts. There he is now. This is what he looks like now. Look at his ears, man. And there's Manson. That's his arrest, isn't it? That is the photo of him actually getting arrested. I've yet to hear the podcast, Davis told Fox News Digital. Does it sound as if I'm glorifying Manson or my crimes? And I don't think it really did, but I just find it weird that a guy who formerly worked in the system would allow people to do this. You know, it's like I wonder if the guy was fired or something. It's kind of because it has affected his parole. The pair spoke about how Davis first met Manson and his time on the cult's Los Angeles ranch, as well as stories about the other members in Manson's life. He described the cult leader as a little undersized person with enormous influence over his followers. I know from the dark side, Davis told Rouvere in a phone call from San Quentin State Prison. I'd never say no to Charlie because I wanted to be his favourite guy. He later spoke about his parole hearings and how family members of murdered victims attended. After I got found suitable, the next time I went to the board, the DA went out and got all those victims, Davis said. The family members of the victims, they had never had any interest in coming to my hearings before. But this time they showed up and my lawyer was freaked out. Oh my goodness, they've got all these people. I kind of got freaked out with him. But he said they did not discuss his crimes, but instead how Manson attracted a cult following and that members were usually high on drugs. I don't know everything, he added, and there will be some questions that stimulate something, that bring something back that is part of the story that I dismissed. Davis had been in prison for 51 years since he was convicted of has been in prison for 51 years since he was convicted of the first-degree murders of Hinman and Shea in 1969. He said he attacked Shea with a knife and held a gun on Hinman while Manson cut Hinman's face with a sword. I wanted to be Charlie's favourite guy, he said during a 2014 parole hearing. After the murders, other members of the cult wrote Political Piggy on the wall of Hinman's home in his own blood. And that's Shorty Shea and Hinman again. and Manson. There were 6 other murders committed by the Manson cult in 1969. Members stabbed, beat, and shot young actress Sharon Tate, who was heavily pregnant, to death at her Hollywood Hills home on August the 8th, 1969. They got it wrong as well. They also killed her friends, celebrity hairstylist Joe Sebring, coffee heiress Abigail Folger, aspiring screenwriter Wojciech Frykowski, and teenager Stephen Parent, who had just been visiting an acquaintance at the estate's guest house. They think. The next night, Manson and some of his followers struck again, this time murdering wealthy grocer Lino LaBianca and his wife Rosemary at their home. Davis has been recommended for parole 7 times between 2010 and 2021, but it has been blocked by 3 consecutive California governors. Parole panels have repeatedly decided Davis is no longer a public safety risk, citing his age and good behavior. Oh, sorry, clicked the wrong thing. But his release has been blocked by Republican Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and Democrats Joe Brown and Gavin Newsom. In 2019, Newsom said Davis had yet to demonstrate that he had a comprehensive understanding of how he came to participate in such extreme violence. Was the phrase I was looking for. As a result, I do not believe that he has the current insight and skills to abstain from violent situations in the future if released. The board granted Davis parole again in 2021, but Newsom again overturned the commissioner's decision. In July of 2022, officials denied him parole, and he was not supposed to be eligible until 2025. But his application was approved for an administrative review the next year. His suitability hearing was postponed by parole officials on January the 18th, and California Department of Corrections records show it was moved to August the 8th. Podcast host Rovia said the decision came after the commissioners found out about the episodes with Davis. If the parole board felt uneasy about him just doing a podcast, who knows what they'll think, he said. Most of the people I talk to aren't believers and aren't religious. I don't push it on them, but that's my personal foundation. It's mostly about making a positive change in their lives because no one else is doing it. Davis was convicted with Manson and another follower, Steve Grogan, in the 2 slayings. Grogan was paroled in 1985 after he led police to Shay's buried body. Robert Beausoleil, 72, convicted in Hinman's death, remains in prison. Manson died in prison on November the 19th, 2017, at the age of 83. Manson followers Leslie Van Houten, 70, Patricia Krenwinkel, 71, and Charles Tex Watson, 73, are in prison for the Tate killings, so they've got it wrong. Leslie's been released, hasn't she? Their co-defendant, Susan Atkins, died of cancer in prison in 2009. Daily Mail has contacted the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation for comment. So we might get another article. But no, they obviously didn't know Leslie's been released as well, because she has. And this was written this year, wasn't it? Yeah, 2nd of February this year. And they've updated it as well. Come on, you got to update it that Leslie's been released. So that's the other thing. Who's going to be released next? Is it Bruce? Could they release Bobby? That's the other thing. In California, innit? If you're an accessory, it's the same thing. You get done for murder. It's different in different states, isn't it? But it's because he took part in. He held the gun on Hinman while Charles Manson slashed his face, so he took part. And in California, that's the same thing as being the person that killed him, isn't it? So yeah, he gets done for 1st-degree murder. This is how Manson got done for murder, because Manson was convicted of all the murders as well, wasn't he? And they said it was on the grounds that he ordered them and he brainwashed the kids into doing it or whatever. And it's because they're an accessory. I think he still deserved to be convicted as an accessory anyway, but just for a different reason. The correct reason was because he didn't bloody dob him in, and if he did go up there and actually move shit around, he perverted the course of justice and all that, didn't he? So yeah, he deserved to be charged as an accessory. And in California, if you're an accessory, you're treated the same as the murderer, aren't you? Your sentence is the same. Yeah. Yeah, that was it. He held a gun on him and before the murder, and that was enough for the criminal justice system. And it was just a sensational case, wasn't it? The Manson family, the name of the case. Because this is another thing. People like Bobby and Bruce, it's been said by a lot of people, men who've committed similar crimes for similar reasons, have been let out years ago. It's only because these murders are so notorious and they're associated with the name Manson that they don't get released. Which isn't right, is it, really? But also, just because these murders are famous. Because there's other murderers that have been released who have probably done things that were easily as horrible, but it wasn't famous people they murdered, so we haven't heard about that. And those people have been let out, you know. Yeah, that's it. He's 81 years old. That article said he's done 51 years, didn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no one will ever know the role of Linda Ronstadt. She did actually comment, didn't she, that she lived right near Gary Hinman. Is that the connection? So we just look at the chat for a minute. That's good. Well, that's a good turnout for the. Like I say, I'm probably going to switch the night when I do because I'm going to try and stream more than once a week, just to give more people a chance to get to the streams, basically. And I'll probably move the night to Thursday because that's a night that I don't have anything else on, so it's better than Wednesday night for me if I'm going to do other streams. And I'm not worried about crashing with other people's streams because I go on earlier than other people, don't I? So anyone that wants to watch someone else, it doesn't interfere. Even my after show won't go on as late as their start time. So no matter who's doing the show, you know. What was Terry Melcher, Linda Ronstadt? But he probably was. Is that right as well? Someone check that. But yeah, that probably is right. Yeah. Terry Melcher was our producer as well because he did obviously produce folk rock acts, didn't he? Yeah. Yeah, to Gary Hinman, do you believe? Do you mean? I think that's what she says, isn't it? There's a quote from her in an interview. She lived right by Gary Hinman, and they were scared it could be them or whatever, and all that. Yeah. But no, if you didn't piss off some bikers by making mescaline that made the mill, they wouldn't come and kill you. Don't worry. But yeah. That's Bruce Davison. So yeah, I didn't know that about him getting molested by his teacher when he was 13 as well. That might explain a few things about his personality, might. Hmm. Huh. Cool. Sorry, just need to pause for a second. Is that the cat? Is that the mic actually picking up the cat licking himself? I hope not. Probably is though. He's close enough. Did she also live next door to Wonderland and Nicole Brown Simpson? Holy shit! Yeah, she playing a show in a club right down the road, in Eddie Nash's club. The night of the Wonderland murders. Oh yeah, I've made a new banner to put on. Yeah, for when we're speculating. What did I do? Where is it? No, it will be under overlay. Sorry, it's an overlay. No, when we're speculating. Where is it? There. That comes up. Yeah. So when we're not telling the truth. Yeah, that's it. The Linda Ronstadt thing is just some kind of weird running joke, by the way. Don't worry. I think that's just people seeing if they can start a conspiracy theory. Sorry, Linda Ronstadt, if you're confused by what the fuck's going on here. People are just having a laugh, I think. See if we can start a conspiracy theory. Linda Ronstadt was the Zodiac. Oh god, no, someone is saying I look like Sexy Sadie again. No, I don't. She didn't have glasses. The prison system wouldn't give her any. Though there is photos of her later in life, isn't there, wearing glasses? Shit, yeah. Yeah, if you're in my Facebook group, I've shared a ton of articles. Like I say, when I do the Patricia Krenwinkel stream, I'm going to read a lot of them out. But I found like loads of articles about the trial that I've never seen before. And there's a little bit more about her testimony because we can't find the bloody transcripts of it. I would love to see them. But yeah, there was an interesting episode. And if you know the Manson case, you've probably heard about this, but it was the first I'd read of it. But yeah, this happened during Krenwinkel's testimony, and they had to call a recess. Something crazy happened. It has happened many times during this trial. And this is probably the reason why we can't see the testimony as well, because whenever they call a recess, it goes into the judge's chambers, and they have to write down for the transcript what they're saying in the chambers as well. So that's probably why they don't want us looking at it, yeah. Because while this wacky shit was going on, who knows what they said? Probably said all sorts of controversial shit. But there are more newspaper articles than just that one Cielo Drive found. I think there must have been different days. She might have gone across 2 days. And that article Cielo Drive found was the first day. And then there's another day. And at one point, her parents testified as well. I found articles about that. And you can find the transcript of that when her parents testified. Yeah. Who's there? Hello, Morbid Punk. Sorry, I don't welcome people by name, do I? I'm so shit as a host, but no. In that respect. I hope it'll make you feel welcome and needed. Yeah, no, Bruce is not the Zodiac. That has been well and truly debunked. But yeah, just for the sake of the thing, he's thrown them in. But yeah, just in case you think he's the Zodiac, he's thrown in the ones that it's possible. But no, I don't think he's the Zodiac either. I'm skeptical about whether he killed anyone else, but a lot of people seem to think that he did. So can't say bollocks that he killed anyone else, because a lot of people think that he was capable of it and did. So who knows? And the way they behaved around Zero was weird. Wiping the gun. Why did they wipe the gun? But also, I think that was nothing. They didn't kill him because they called the cops themselves. They actually called that in themselves. Why would they do that? Yeah. This is it. Yeah. While the wild speculation banner's up, we can put it on the screen. Yeah. Linda Zodiac Ronstadt is actually the Zodiac. Hope she won't sue me. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Linda's heard this as well. Yeah. We're starting our own conspiracy theory. Yeah, oh no, someone does think the Zodiac was Bruce Davis. Right, so there's one person in the chat at least who thinks the Zodiac was Bruce Davis. But I'm sure, didn't the killings carry on after he's in jail as well, though? That's why he can't be. And one of the killings that's on this timeline is not him. Is not confirmed Zodiac, but it's a murder that could be the Zodiac. And it's a thing that he's in the town or whatever where it happened. No, she's not old enough to have been Jack the Ripper yet, is she? Unless she's been reincarnated. Yeah, maybe she was Jack the Ripper in a past life. How about that? And the CIA deliberately channeled Jack the Ripper's soul. Fucking hell. I should write conspiracy theories for a living. I wonder if the government will employ me secretly. Because they do, apparently. How do you get paid to be a shill for the government? Are there any Zodiac Scientology connections? I haven't heard, no. Except for Bruce Davis, because people think he might have been the the Scientology murderer, but I don't think he was. Yeah, and I read from some sources, people said they found a Zodiac letter in the girl who was murdered in the Scientology murders room. But because that's not mentioned in the police report, I think, no, that's probably just a false rumor. But also, there's always stuff that the police withhold, isn't there, just in case. So they can tell if a confession's real or not. So it's possible there was a Zodiac letter in the girl's room, but I don't think it was. I think that was bollocks. Yeah, because you can find the police report for it. And she had, it suggests that she had kind of a dicey. She might have been involved with drug use, and she alleged she got raped as well she got gang raped by a gang of Negroes and stuff like that. So she was obviously like in a precarious situation. And it looks like her and James Sharp were trying to leave the city. They were last seen trying to hitchhike out of the city together, and then they were killed like really horribly somewhere else, and then they were taken and dumped in that alleyway. But really horribly, yeah. I didn't show the photos on my stream, but I did look at them, yeah. And yeah, it does look like her eyes have been stabbed out, and yeah, it's horrible. And the photo of him is further away. You can't see his eyes clearly, but it definitely looks like there's something up with his eyes. But it said their eyes were stabbed out. And they'd been beaten with chains, and they'd been run over with motorcycles. Which makes me think they'd done something that pissed off bloody bikers. And was it possibly mistaken identity? Did they think there was someone else? Because it seems very personal. It doesn't seem like someone just randomly grabbed them and killed them like that. It seems like someone was trying to send a message. You know what I mean? It's like, so was it possibly mistaken identity, or had they got mixed up somehow in some bad shit and pissed off people? But they were so young. I can't see how bloody bikers would murder people that horribly. But who fucking knows? Or maybe it was murderers who were trying to make it look like it was, random. Yeah, you can see him. He's over in the corner. Yeah, he sits on the arm of the chair. He sat on the arm of the chair. Hopefully, it's not picking up him licking himself too much on the mic. How do I get that off? There. Yeah, or something like that. It sounds like drug debts. Maybe they owed debts, and the fact their eyes were cut out, that was stabbed out, suggests what were they saying? They saw something they shouldn't have seen, or something. I don't know. Was it like a warning to other people that had witnessed something? Like, this is what we'll do to you if you talk? I don't know. You can only speculate, can't you? But yeah, that seems like a very specific thing. Their eyes were both stabbed out, and she had been sexually assaulted, I think. Yeah, and she was left naked in a humiliating position and that. So it was, yeah, horrible. And yeah, and when her family, who she'd been talking to, said that she wasn't really that into Scientology from what they heard, and she was just saying that actually she was thinking it was a load of nonsense and she was going to leave anyway. So, and I really don't think that Scientologists would kill people like that. I know they don't like people leaving the religion, but this was early Scientology as well. Were they that crazy about people that tried to leave? Because in them days, a lot of young people must have been joining it because they were joining all sorts. People were joining the Process Church and guys like Charles Manson, weren't they? People were looking for a new religion, weren't they? And Timothy Leary, they started a religion as well. There's actually a Bible called the Boohoo Bible and that. And Timothy Leary and all his mates tried to start a religion because they realised that they couldn't get LSD legal just for recreational use. So they tried to make it a religious sacrament so that they would be legally allowed to use it. And they made a whole religion. Yeah. Don't give the cat a spin-off show. What's he going to do? Sit there and lick his anus. Excuse me. Yeah, there's no need to go to an after show for this, really, because the midweek streams are meant to be more casual. Yeah, thank you for turning up, everyone. At least I scheduled this for the right night as well. Sorry about messing up the Rolling Stones scheduling, right? I know people probably wanted to watch that live and it fucked it up that I had scheduled it wrong. I'm sorry. And I didn't notice until about 10 minutes before it started, so I couldn't rectify it. And I just had to go live anyway. So sorry if you missed that live and wanted to watch it. Yeah. Yeah, well, now they are Scientology, the way they are acting now. And the thing about his wife as well, the wife of the leader, Shelley, where the fuck is she? And they keep saying that when the police ring to do a welfare check, they say it's unfounded, which means they must be speaking to her. Like when the police do a welfare check, they must give her a phone and she must talk. But now they can do AI imitations of voices and shit, can't you? You know what I mean? So what, does a police officer see her? A police officer must go and they must show her to him. And she says, yes, I'm fine. But apparently they've got a place like there's like the hole, and they just chuck them in a. It's in an unair conditioned building that's full of cockroaches, and you're just held in this place. And this is like if you question the leader or whatever. And it's been years, isn't it? She's hardly been seen for years, and people think she might be dead. And missing persons reports have been filed for her, but every time they file one, it comes back, oh, it's unfounded. So they must be letting a police officer see her, like rolling around, going, look, she's fine. Yeah, that's it. For years, she's gone. And there's an actress who was a former Scientologist who's like gone on a big crusade about it. Quite rightly though, so that was her friend, man. Yeah, this. Yeah. Oh, I heard he got attacked in prison as well. Danny Masterson. Yeah, it was in Corcoran. Yeah. But I already got attacked in prison just the other day, recently. Yeah, because he's a Scientologist as well, guys. If you didn't know that, because he's the guy from That 70s Show, and he's best friends with Ashton Kutcher. And Ashton Kutcher is a way creepier guy. He's sort of managed to make himself look like a nice guy for years, but he's always been a bit fucking off. Ashton Kutcher as well. Don't trust Ashton Kutcher. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure I read he's been beaten up in prison already. He's an ex-Scientologist, and does a comedy. He's most famous for being on a comedy show called That '70s Show. It's an American show. They have shown it in the UK. I only watched it a couple of times. So I didn't really like it. Mila Kunis is in it, who's the voice of Meg on Family Guy in it, and she's now married to Ashton Kutcher as well, and it's really creepy because she was underage when she met him, and so it's like looks like he might have groomed her, sort of thing, and all that sort of shit, you know. And Ashton Kutcher married Demi Moore as well, didn't he? And their relationship was weird. Yeah. Yeah. Ashton Kutcher on the left hand side. That's a good one. Yeah, he is dodgy. And there's that girl he got murdered, isn't there? And it really does look like he didn't do it. No one's saying he did it, but he stumbled across the crime scene and then didn't call it in because he thought he might get blamed. He just ran off and left. And if he had called it in, the police would have had more of a chance of catching the killer in the area. And he went on to kill more women. And so he's a cunt for that as well, just because he didn't want the bad press. Basically, he didn't call it in when he should have. Though he did eventually testify in court, didn't he? But fucking, he didn't call it in on the night, and he didn't go to prison for that as well. You'd think that would. But yeah, fucking rich. Yeah, that's it. I'm aware. Yeah, I only ever watched one episode, and I didn't really think it was funny. I couldn't even fucking tell. Was it actually set in the 70s? Is it actually meant to be set in the 70s? I think it is, isn't it? It's kind of like a Happy Days, but it's the 70s instead of the 60s or the 50s, whenever the fuck Happy Days was. Happy Days was the 60s, wasn't it? Not the 50s. Or was it the 50s? Was Happy Days the 50s? Come on, there's Americans. Yeah, it's meant to be the 50s, isn't it? Happy Days, not the 60s. Or is it the 60s? Fuck knows. But yeah, it wasn't very good. I didn't like it. And Ashton Kutcher was pissed off that these Scientology rape allegations about the other guy from that 70s show came up because it stopped Netflix from buying it. Netflix didn't put that 70s show on because of this Danny Masterson guy. Oh, and he's married to one of John Phillips' kids as well. Bijou Phillips is his wife, the Scientologist that's just gone down for these historic rapes. It is the 50s, is it? Yeah. Happy Days is the 50s. So it's the late 50s going into the 60s. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. But that's sort of what it comes off like. It was like, yeah, so like to the 90s, the 70s was the 50s. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so like fucking, it's like they tried to do Happy Days, but for the 90s kids. But no, they didn't show it that much in the UK. But yeah, I didn't like what I did see of it, really. Nah, she's divorced him now, has she? Because she stood by him for a while, I think, didn't she? Yeah. She has divorced him, yeah. She's filed for divorce now, has she? She's filed for divorce now, yeah. She was married to him. I feel sorry for her as well because it sounds like it was something that he did a very long time ago. He's not like currently been out raping women in the past like couple of years, but he still shouldn't have fucking got away with it. And it sounds like he only got away with it because he's a Scientologist and these other women were Scientologists and they're really secretive and brainwashy, aren't they? And so he just got away with it all these years. Yeah. Yeah, I hope she's away from Scientology then, yeah, if that's the case. Yeah. Yeah, because like I say, and Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis made statements about him, didn't they? And they didn't seem to realise that would be public record and they'd get called out for it, but they made statements about how nice he was, didn't they? And then had to do like an apology. Because I think they just didn't realise that the public would be able to see it, and they wrote these glowing character letters for him. But I can understand where they were coming from. They were talking about what he's like now, sort of thing. And still, but Ashton Kutcher, I found out since Ashton Kutcher was pissed off because this stopped them from putting that 70s show on Netflix, basically. Yeah, that's it. He'd basically use Scientology to intimidate the victims, yeah. And it took this long to get him done it. But I think this was actually back. Was it back as late as early as the 90s? I think it might have been 2000s. It was 2000s, was it? I know it was a long time ago. Yeah. Oh, you might have had a thing for Mila Kunis, yeah. I know she's been the voice of Meg for years. She wasn't the original voice of Meg, was she? But then she became the voice of Meg, yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's the other thing, yeah, you're not allowed to report anything that happens outside of Scientology, are you? And that, yeah. And another dark thing about Scientology as well, because there's English Scientologists that have come out and are like whistleblowing about it, talking about it, and he's talking about how they used to make him interview people and try and get them to confess like their darkest secrets, like the worst things they've done and stuff like that, and they note it down, right? And basically, if they want to control you, they'll start bringing up all this shit that you've said in these therapy sessions, these whatever the fuck they call it. And a big part of that is making people confess horrible things they've done. So I wonder if they're permissive about men being rapists because they can blackmail them about it and control them. Do you know what I mean? That's just speculation, like obviously, but yeah, Mila must have stories. Well, it looks sinister now because when she was on that '70s show, she was underage, wasn't she? I think. And though it was many years later, he married her. It sort of looks kind of groomy, doesn't it? You know. And she was hanging around with him. Yeah, because was it? I wanted. I've got to look up when did the rapes actually happen? Was it while he was doing that '70s show? Was it that long ago? Auditing, that's it. Yeah, they call it auditing, don't they? Not therapy, but it's like their version of therapy. But they make everyone confess like the worst things they've ever done and their darkest secrets, basically things they don't want you wouldn't want people knowing. And then when they want to manipulate you, they start threatening to blackmail you, basically expose your secrets. Yeah. Oh god, yeah. This is a Scientology thing. Masterson had cameras all over his house recording his friends cheating on their wives. Yeah, that's it. That seems to be what it's become all about, doesn't it? Like, yeah, and they're really big on collecting dirt on people and smearing them, aren't they? Like Johnny on West, all the shit about Johnny on West that we know is because he took on Scientologists in his later years. He became a cult deprogrammer, and he called Scientology a cult, and so they dug up all this information about him, and and all this sort of stuff, and also they obviously don't like being connected to the Manson case, do they? So I don't like to mention them too much. And there's the Bruce Davis connection to Scientology as well, isn't there? They don't like that. Yeah. I think it started on Scientology in its evil ways, yeah. I didn't realise they had such a huge compound in the UK as well in that East Grinstead. There's a big mansion house where L. Ron Hubbard actually lived for a few years, and there's a couple of streets of houses that are all owned by Scientologists. And there's another centre in the town. And there's that Dormer cottage is now just abandoned. But it still stood there. They own that still as well, and it's unclear why they've not used that land as well. Because you'd think they could build something on it or whatever, knock stuff down and build stuff on it. But they've just left that land as well, which is weird. Like I said, there is a video of us going to the Dormer cottage. I used my phone though. Yeah, it's not great footage, and bloody other people were there that were filming it better. And a film's going to come out eventually, and I think the better footage is going to be used in that. But yeah. Be sure to watch that. The Bruce Davis Scientology Cottage Expedition. Yeah, well, it's a bit of a tenuous connection, though, isn't it? It's sort of like vaguely something because he worked at the Haight Ashbury Clinic. He must have met Manson when he used the Haight Ashbury Clinic or something. Yeah, it's a bit of a tenuous link. There's more of a link to Tex because Tex got taken to UCLA Hospital during his period that he was sectioned before he could be tried. When he was still supposedly mental, and they were trying to make him normal again so he could be tried. He got taken to the place where Johnny on West works. It doesn't say in the reports that Johnny on West saw him, but who knows? And no one talks about that. Everyone just goes on about Manson possibly having a connection to Johnny on West. Was Candice Bergen also a Scientologist? Probably. Yeah. Quite a lot of people have been taken in by it, haven't they? But it was South Park actually leaked the big secret about Xenu and all this shit, and it's like, I can't believe it, because especially when you know the founder was a science fiction writer, as well. And it's like, really, you believe this is real? This is your religion? You actually believe this? He's obviously just made up a science fiction book, hasn't he? And it's become a fucking religion. It's like a scam, and you have to pay a ridiculous amount of money for the books and all that shit, don't you? Hmm. No, it was going in '69. That's when it was going in '69. They had their big headquarters in the '60s, didn't they? Yeah. And Charles Manson met a Scientologist in prison while he was still in prison. So no, they were definitely going in the '60s. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly when it started. Yeah, but no, definitely in the '60s they were going. Yeah. Yeah, Clem and Squeaky were in Scientology as well. I've never heard of Clem being into any sort of religion. And Squeaky, I've never heard of Squeaky being into it. Yeah. Who do they buy their coke from? Joe Sebring, probably. Yeah. Oh god, yeah, Jack Parsons. That's another crazy thing, and he knew Aleister Crowley, didn't he, and all that sort of shit. No, L. Ron Hubbard. No, sorry, I'm thinking. No, Jack Parsons. No, that is Jack Parsons, isn't it? That knew Aleister Crowley and the black magic. And he blew himself up under weird circumstances, didn't he? Yeah, accidentally making explosives, and he fucking just made a mistake and blew himself up or some shit. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. He was a third-rate science fiction writer. I've never read any of his books. Yeah. That's it, yeah. Could Clem even read? Was Clem smart enough to get into any sort of religion, yeah. That's the other thing as well, you have to have money to get into Scientology, don't you? So, like, none of these people have enough money, do they, really? Though I wonder when it was just starting up and they needed as many members as they could get, did they let people in? Yeah, Aleister Crowley. Yeah. Yeah, that's it, yeah. Sadie called him the best piece she'd ever had or something, didn't she? When they was arresting him, she said, unhandcuff him. And they said, why? And she said, because he's the best piece I've ever had. I want to make love to him another time or something. What? He's also supposed to have flashed at children through a hole in his trousers and shit like that, isn't he? And he's the one that got out in 1985. Yeah. Did Jack Parsons know LaVey? I don't know. Because I can get that confirmed as well. I've never, but I would imagine actually they would have moved in the same fucking circles. He might have known Jack Parsons, but yeah. But did LaVey know Jack Parsons? And I don't know why would he have known Ron Hubbard as well? L. Ron Hubbard. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, L. Ron Hubbard lived at the parsonage. I think that's where he came up with Dianetics. Yeah, like I said, there's a big fucking mansion in East Grinstead in the UK. And he moved there for years. I think he had to move out of America for some reason. He was avoiding some legal shit in America or whatever. So he set up a compound in the UK. And it's still there to this day. And the guy who showed us where the Dormer cottage was and that, he told us that once Tom Cruise came to visit the compound in East Grinstead when he was in the UK for some reason, and he came into a pub and he had the pub shut down. So no one else could be in the pub while he was eating, and he ordered a burger, apparently. In this town, East Grinstead. He had the whole pub shut down just so he could order a burger. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. He was. He was just a huckster, not a real follower of the left hand. He didn't have any religious. Levian Satanism is actually atheism. If you look at it, that's what it tells you. If you read if you actually read it, it tells you there is no God and be your own God, deify yourself. Basically, that's what Levian Satanism is. He didn't have any fucking real black magic experience or anything like that. Yeah. Oh, that's just utter crap in it. Dianetics is just ridiculous. It's like, well, what are you measuring? And nowadays, fucking, we have better science. They should have to fucking prove more what they're actually fucking measuring, shouldn't they? Because there's two poles that you hold. You grip two holes. So when you're gripping both the poles at once, you're connecting those two poles, which is going to make some kind of buzzing noise or something. That's all it's fucking doing. It's like, for fuck's sake, come on. And where you have to hold it for a long time, I bet your hands will sweat as well. And as your hands get sweatier, the noise it makes goes up or whatever. That's all it fucking is doing. I've looked into that. Yeah, there's because there's Scientologists who've left, aren't there, and who are like showing the equipment and all that sort of shit, and they're trying to look into what the fuck the machine is actually doing. Is it doing anything at all? But yeah, looking at it, it just looks like something that starts buzzing when you connect the two poles. Basically, when you touch them, you've created a connection. And the hotter and sweatier your hands get, the better the connection's going to be. If there's any sort of current going through it, isn't it? Yeah. You quite like gripping poles. You should become a Scientologist then. I don't know if I'm entirely accurate with that as well, but yeah, from what I saw of the machine that they hold, there's two poles on it in there, and you wrap your hand around both of them. Right, so that's connecting the two poles in it. That's what's making it suddenly start going. Yee. And the hotter and sweatier your hand gets, the longer you're holding it, the higher it's going to go. So the more noise it makes, oh, your theatins are really coming through now, evidently. So what the fuck? Yeah, that's it. They get a tax exemption because they're a fucking religion. Yeah, they shouldn't be allowed to be called a religion. But other things have been done in the name of religion, haven't they? That are fucking worse. Like Catholics have done fucking appalling things in the past of like all this sort of shit. It's like a weird debate, isn't it? But yeah, fucking in this day and age, they shouldn't be allowed to get away with it under the cover of religion, and hiding behind lawyers as well. Just lawyering up totally and just suing anyone who says anything. But they do seem to have sort of realised it's just making them look ridiculous now, doesn't it? And they've sort of laid back on that a bit. Oh, but that documentary was priceless that the British journalist made, and he went there to try and talk to Scientologists, and there's a point where they just send a lawyer out, and the lawyer's like double speaking him for hours, and they cut it shorter so you don't see how long the guy was actually fucking messing with his head. And the guy in the end absolutely freaks out at him and just screams, "You were not there!" Because the lawyers come out to talk to him about another interview that he gave, and he's he just absolutely goes mental. Do people know the clip I'm talking about? Have people seen it? It's a British journalist. It was shown in the UK. Yeah, but the poor guy, he just does this Scientology lawyer. He's arguing with him for hours and hours. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. You're in the Marines. Is that a cult as well? Yeah. Jesus. No, it wasn't Louis Theroux. It wasn't Louis Theroux. It was another bloke. The guy that blew up at the Scientologist lawyer was not Louis Theroux. It was another bloke. I can't remember his bloody name. He's not as famous as Louis Theroux, but it was a British guy. And like I say, he interviewed a couple of people, and they weren't favourable enough, obviously, the interviews. So they just started sending lawyers after him, and he argues with the lawyer. And when they show you the clips, they edit it for time, but the guy's actually going on at him for about an hour or so before he fucking finally flips out at him, and they just show you him flipping out. But yeah, that's what Scientology's lawyers are like, it's like, yeah. I think they're realising that's bad for their image as well, so they're stopping that sort of shit, yeah. Huh. Oh god, Linda needs a smoke here, talking about Scientology. Yeah, like I say, if you haven't watched it, watch the Scientology murder stream. Because like I say, that case is just so horrible and it's unsolved. Still. And I'm cynical that Bruce Davis was the killer, but they need to find out who bloody was. Because that is a horrible unsolved murder. Yeah, and what the true motive for it was as well. Like I get a sense that these kids were so young they can't have done anything that bad, but you'd never know, do you? Was it mistaken identity? Oh, but yeah, fucking hell. But yeah, they call it the Scientology murders because they were both Scientologists, but It's a bit unfair to call it that because it was. I don't think their murders were linked to Scientology as well, because they weren't just Scientologists; they were out doing other stuff as well. They didn't seem to find out much about James Sharp, though. There's not a lot about James Sharp in the police report that I could find. I've been going over an hour now, haven't I? Yeah, I might stop this for tonight, yeah, because it was a shorter one for the weeknights. But yeah, tune in on Sunday, and I'll definitely schedule it for the right night this time, because the Kremwinkle one's good. There's an interesting Manson troll moment that we can talk about. And yeah, there's no, I can't find any news footage of it, but I found a couple of newspaper articles about Kremwinkle's testimony now, so we hear a bit of what she said, at least. And you get a bit of a reason why maybe they don't want us to see it, because the shenanigans happened in the court. You'd rather be a proctologist than a Scientologist. That's a good one, yeah. Yeah. Oh my god, you're in the Cubs. Made the Marines look like a tea party, yeah. You wished you were in the Marines. I don't think I've got any tea left. Actually, I've got a drop left. Stone cold by now. Yeah. Lucifer Rising. The whole, the whole of Lucifer Rising is on YouTube. And sometimes in the after shows, I do show it, and we all react to it because Bobby's in it. Like if there's a stream that coincides with a date to do with Bobby, we sometimes watch it. Yeah. But no, the whole of Lucifer Rising is on YouTube if you want to see it. Bobby Baseley, who killed Gary Hinman and was a Manson follower, is in Lucifer Rising. And weirdly, one of the Hell's Angels that was at Altamont is in Lucifer Rising. You actually see him in the photos. He was one of the Hell's Angels guarding the stage at Altamont. It's another weird connection to Lucifer Rising. And Mick Jagger did the soundtrack, which is really crazy. It's just a Moog playing like two notes, and it occasionally moves up and down, but that's like mental. And Anton LaVey appears in it as well, and there's other famous people in it. And yeah, it's very, very homoerotic right from the very beginning. It's like, yeah, you're in no doubt that the guy who made this was gay right from the very start. Yeah, Sweet William, that's his name. Sweet William Fritch was the angel, and he's one of the angels that's on stage at Altamont. Was also in Lucifer Rising, and Mick Jagger did the soundtrack for that film. And there's a very short clip of Mick Jagger in it. He didn't star in it. It's footage from him live singing. But yeah, they show a clip of Mick Jagger in it, and Mick Jagger did the soundtrack. So that's another connection to the chapter of the Hells Angels that did Altamont. But just because he recorded the soundtrack, I don't think that would mean he met all the actors, would he? That's not necessarily a connection between him and Sweet William before Altamont, but still just an interesting thing in it, how all this shit is interconnected through weird connections. The Manson case is full of that as well. And when you're looking into other things, you always find something that connects to someone that was involved in the Manson case or whatever. It's crazy, everything you're looking at, once you've looked into it. Oh yes, is this the kid called Goddo that fell through a bloody skylight or something like that? Because this is something I could actually get confirmed, but I read it's something actually fucking Dave McGowan said, because before Dave McGowan wrote Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, there was a website called Center for an Informed America that he wrote, and I read a lot of shit on that site. And he said that Anton LaVey had a 2-year-old son, and there was a roof garden and a skylight that led back into the house, and this 2-year-old baby fell through the skylight and died. And that night, there's photos of Anton LaVey and all his friends dancing out, you know. And so, like, Dave McGowan tried to say that was something weird, but yeah, that's it. And he had a photo of the child, and it was a little blonde child. But yeah, well, I could find out because yeah, if you get Nicholas still ask Zena, did you have a little brother that died? Because he would be Zena's brother if that's true, wouldn't it? I'm just wondering if that's the kid you're referring to. Yeah, was it a 2-year-old boy, a blonde boy? Oh, the little boy was on acid as well. I hadn't read that. It's all true. And is it Anton LaVey's son though? Is it really Anton LaVey's kid? Because I can. Yeah, God, no, yeah, it's this Palauskas' kid. I'm sure. Yeah, Dave McGowan got it wrong. It's not Anton LaVey's kid. Yes, it isn't Anton LaVey's kid. Yeah, fucking Dave McGowan was full of shit. Yeah. That's it. Fucking hell, the baby was only about 2 as well. The kid was literally 2. No, it's Godot, I think, wasn't it? Godot was what I read. His name was, and I saw a photo of him, and he was like a blonde boy with blue eyes, but he, yeah, and literally was only about 2 or 3. Yeah. Yeah, well, I found it. I like Dave McGowan because he brought a lot of information to light. Like, I had never realised so many rock stars were connected to the military and all this sort of shit. So that was interesting. But I think he made too many assumptions based on that, and there's actually other reasons for it. And I think suggesting that Jim Morrison was actually working, yeah, it was Vito's kid. It wasn't Anton LaVey's kid. Because yeah, he claimed it was Anton LaVey, but I think it might have been at the Black House or something. It was at Anton LaVey's house. It happened, was it? Or something is that the connection to Anton LaVey? Yeah. Yeah, but that kid was meant to be in Lucifer Rising as well. I didn't know that. Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting that he made people think about this shit, but also there's other explanations for stuff as well. You can't go. Sorry, just looking at the chat. Excuse me. Yeah, shouldn't. Like I said, this was meant to be a shorter one, but I've been going over an hour. Like I said, I don't want to do an after show though. Yeah. Yeah, but like I say, tune in for the Chromwinkle stream because that was interesting. Oh, he was 60 years old, and him and his wife were weird. Yeah, well, if they really gave the kid acid, that's fucking weird as well, isn't it? Because that was literally a baby. He was only about 3 or 2 when he died, wasn't he? So it was like, what? Yeah, he was supposed to be Lucifer. So Bobby B was put in, but the other kid was like literally 3 years old. He was a toddler. So like Bobby Beausoleil is very different, isn't he? Bobby Beausoleil was what? Must have been 20 or so, mustn't he? At least at that point, because he wasn't. He was slightly older than the girls, wasn't he? He wasn't like under 20. I'm pretty sure he was about 26 or so when the murders happened, wasn't he? I don't know. But yeah, he was older than the girls. I know that. And so, because he ran away from Kenneth Anger and met Charles Manson, didn't he? So the Lucifer Rising obviously must have happened around the time he was with Kenneth Anger, mustn't it? Yeah, this is another thing. Yeah, Los Angeles was a center of aircraft engineering post-war, and there were a lot of military contractors living there. So that's like another reason why people in that area's dads were in the military. And World War II had just happened as well, right? Those people in the 60s, everyone's dad would have had to serve in World War II, wouldn't they? So there was more chance your dad had been in the army or chose a military career, because a lot of blokes just served in World War II and left. But some people stayed in the army, didn't they? So it's like, it's not that weird. Though it is fucking a bit weird, it's not that fucking weird. There are other explanations for why. There's so many. Yeah, that's it. All the plants. Your dad worked at one of the plants. Yeah, and Frank Zappa's dad worked for the military, but he was not a soldier. I think I'd already did serve in World War II, but everyone fucking did. But when he worked at Edgewood Arsenal, it was just as a chemist for the military. He wasn't actually a soldier. And shit like that as well. Gail Zappa's dad was military as fuck, though. That's the interesting connection to the military. His wife, Gail Zappa, her dad was some really high up naval dude, like Jim Morrison's dad. And Gail Zappa and Jim Morrison apparently attended the same kindergarten as babies because they lived on the same naval base. Their parents. So your father did as well, yeah. That's why you're CIA as fuck. So you're actually making it sound worse now, though, aren't you? Yeah, because you're so CIA. Did you pose as a folk rock musician in the 70s? Undercover. Yeah, but like I say, always think about other explanations. You have to consider these things when you're trying to make up a radical conspiracy theory. And also, the reason the government messes with the entertainment industry as well and gets the entertainment industry to do certain things is just about social control, like trying. It's not because, the conspiracy theorists are all on about saying that they're trying to turn us all into Satanists or something, or destroy the family unit or some shit like that. But no. When the government messes with the entertainment industry, they're just trying to like brainwash us, It's just a way of getting their propaganda out to us, isn't it? That's what the military's doing in the entertainment industry. It's not trying to turn us into Satanists or And also, a lot of the entertainment industry is just blokes trying to get themselves laid. That's why you hear about all these horrible fucking things happening. Musicians being awful people and shit like that. Because the entertainment business just attracts people like that. Do you know what I mean? Oh, what? He wore an amulet around his neck that stood for Bobby Beausoleil, and he would tell everyone he turned Bobby into a frog. He stole his car, didn't he? Apparently, Bobby, when he left Kenneth Anger, stole his car. And Kenneth Anger claimed for years that Bobby stole the tapes to Lucifer Rising. Because it didn't actually get released to the early 80s, did it, I think? Oh shit, my battery's about to run out. The fan will come on. Sorry. About the sound of the fan. But yeah, the Lucifer Rising didn't actually get released until the 80s, did it? And it was made in the 60s. And Kenneth Anger said that Bobby stole the tapes. But the truth was he couldn't afford to pay to get them from the lab where they'd been developed. And that was why he didn't have the tapes. But he for years said Bobby stole the tapes, but that's not true. And he finally got the tapes in the 80s and released it in the 80s. You can never hear the fan. Oh, I can hear it when I play back my videos. It is a bit noticeable, yeah. Like I say, it puts people off as well. If people are that bloody, people are that fussy about what they watch now. If there's anything wrong with it. Oh, you got to be able to hear it now. It's just suddenly got really loud. I wish I had never bought this laptop. I wish I knew about this fucking fan on this laptop. I never would have bought it. I can't afford to buy another one now. It's a shame because it's a good laptop in a lot of other ways, but it's got this ridiculous fan that sounds like a fucking aircraft taking off. Yeah, that's a rumor as well. But I found out something interesting about that as well. Like I say, if I ever get to sit Nicholas down and interview him, I will get him to talk about that as well, because that's an interesting thing about the Jimmy Page and Kenneth Anger thing as well. Like, Kenneth Anger exaggerates how badly Jimmy Page treated him. Yeah, he's in Lucifer Rising. He was meant to do the soundtrack, wasn't he? But Bobby Beausoleil fucking recorded it from prison in an insane twist of events. Yeah, but Jimmy Page was meant to do the soundtrack, but he delayed it. He delayed doing it or something, and Kenneth Anger just fucking got pissed off with it and got Bobby Beausoleil to do it, who was actually in prison for being one of the Manson murderers. Yeah, but you see. Okay. Your ex-dated Page. How old was she? Sorry. A link to the video about the Led Zeppelin house? Do you mean Boleskine house? The Aleister Crowley house that Jimmy Page owned? What Led Zeppelin house? Because there's a few houses associated with this. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot known about Boleskine House, yeah. They went and wrote Led Zeppelin 2 there, apparently, didn't they? Gotta check it was definitely Boleskine House he bought as well. I know it was a house that had formerly been owned by Aleister Crowley. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Boleskine House, wasn't it? Yeah, because they got that actual house burned down, didn't it? Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I was quite into Led Zeppelin because there's a singer I like called Sandy Denny, and she was the only guest vocalist to ever appear on a Led Zeppelin song, "The Battle of Evermore," on the Led Zeppelin album. The one with "Stairway to Heaven." I think it's 5 in it. Led Zeppelin 5. Yeah, yeah, Boleskine House. Yeah, I know a lot about Boleskine House. Trust me, I'm British. Come on, think I haven't heard all about fucking Aleister Crowley. They must have had to rebuild it thanks to it fucking burnt down catastrophically. Apparently, it must have had to be totally rebuilt. And apparently, it's a really weird haunted place, and it was before Aleister Crowley even got there. That's why he bought it. That's why he liked it. Because in the past, in Victorian times, there'd been Satanists there, and there was all sorts of shit happening in the garden. Apparently, in the garden, it's so bad you can actually see things appearing in the garden and shit. It's that scary. How bad? And Aleister Crowley is supposed to have done a ritual there that's meant to take 6 months to complete, and he gave up halfway through and just fucked off. So he's invoked God knows what and just left it in their house, just fucking not finished the ritual and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's a total new house now. Yeah, they must have had to rebuild a house on the land. I don't know if they tried to make it look like the old one. I'll have to look it up. Yeah, because I know the old one burnt down. It's being done now, is it? So it's not actually done yet. Be interesting to see if they try to make it look like the old house or if it's just going to be a completely new house. Hmm. Yeah. All right. This is your actually dated Jimmy Page in her 20s. She grew up in an obscure religion, and she showed me the letters. Weird. That's weird. Is that how Jimmy Page met her? Was he involved in a religion? Not the OTO. You're not saying the fucking OTO because that's what Jimmy Page was into. That's weird. Let's see. So she grew up in an obscure religion, and she showed you letters from Jimmy Page. Can you remember what it was called? Thelema or the OTO? Do either of those sound familiar? Because yeah, there probably were bloody cults that raised kids. What can you call it a cult? It's a religion. But no, weird way of raising children though. I don't agree with it. And it's illegal now. You can't raise kids like that. Hmm. Yeah, back in the day, British music was so badass, wasn't it? Yeah. Well, I'm about to get into talking about all the shady gangsters we had in the music industry. I'm just reading about the Rolling Stones manager and the Rolling Stones bloody chauffeurs and all this sort of shit. I don't know, Michael Jeffries, Don Arden, Wilf Pines as well. He also was somehow involved with Black Sabbath because Don Arden managed Black Sabbath later, but Wilf Pine managed Black Sabbath before him, I think. Got to read the book about him. But he knew the Cray twins as well. He went to Charlie Cray's funeral. He was their other brother. Yeah. Hmm. The Beatles are the best. The Brits are the best rock and rollers, and the Beatles are proof. Are they? Really, though? I suppose, but yeah, that traditional, that type of rock and roll. What are you talking about? Yeah, I suppose so. OTO, yeah. OTO was the original, and Thelema was Crowley's own version. Yeah. But yeah, the obscure religion the woman was brought up in. Did she ever say the name of it? And do either of those sound? Audio Temple Orientis is what it stands for. Did she ever say it was that, or it was Thelema that she grew up in? Because that might be how she met Jimmy Page, which is scary. Strawberry Fields, that's a fucked up song as well, yeah. What the hell was that all about? Backwards masking on it. And there's the weird slowed down message at the end, which everyone thinks is, I buried Paul. Is it though? Yeah. She was a bartender and he was interested in her weird religion, an obscure one in Texas, so it was totally an obscure religion. It wasn't. Because the OTO and Thelema aren't that obscure. So yeah, that's weird. And she had, a great rack, massive tits, yeah. An obscure religion in Texas. Cranberry sauce, yeah. That's what John Lennon said he was actually saying at the end of Strawberry Fields. And now I listen to it again, I think, that is what he's saying. He wasn't lying. And I don't know why someone doesn't just use Audacity to correct the speed. Then we can know for sure. I'll have to do that one night. Because you could, that's not played backwards. That's just slowed down so much it's hard to hear what he says. Yeah. Yeah. Your parents were from Liverpool, were they as well? Wow. Kim Cattrall is actually from Liverpool. The woman from Porky's and Sex and the City, who played Samantha in Sex and the City. And she was Lassie in Porky's, wasn't she? Yeah. And you'd think she's American. She obviously grew up in America or has been in America for a fucking long time because she's got a very convincing American accent. But she's actually from Liverpool. And one of the monkeys was British as well. Fucking, yeah. Can't remember, not Liverpool he's from, but I think it was Manchester. I think he might be from Manchester. Yeah. Yeah, Lassie. She played Lassie, didn't she? Yeah. Yeah, but she's not actually American. She's from Liverpool. And fucking Mike Myers as well, weirdly enough. I found out, yeah, or one of his parents is from Liverpool. I don't know if he ever lived in Liverpool at all. But Kim Cattrall did, in her childhood, live in Liverpool. But I don't know if Michael Myers ever actually did. But bloody Michael Myers has got some kind of connection to Britain as well. One of his parents is British. So he's actually Canadian, isn't he? Isn't he a Canadian? He's not actually American. Everyone just thinks he's American because we're stupid and we can't tell the difference between your accents. Yeah. And she's from the Wavertree district of Liverpool, where you lived for years, yeah. Yeah. Bob Hope was English, was he? I didn't know that. And the guy who gave Timothy Leary LSD for the first time was English. That blew my mind. And he's from Durham, which is where my dad's from. I couldn't believe it. The guy who gave Timothy Leary acid for the first time is from County Durham. Yeah, he is Canadian, yeah. Because everyone just thinks of him as American in the UK. And he did Wayne's World, which is a really American film, isn't it? It takes the piss out of American culture, doesn't it? So he's thought of as American, yeah, but he's actually Canadian. And I'm sure I've seen interviews with him where he talks about one of his parents is British even. Yeah. Yeah, that's what does interviews with John Lennon. The slowed down message at the end of Strawberry Fields is actually cranberry sauce. But he's saying it with a posh accent. He's saying it with a different accent. He's going cranberry sauce like that instead of saying it with his natural accent. And once you know that and you listen to it, you can hear exactly what he's saying. It's not I buried Paul. Yeah, Austin Powers. Because he plays a British guy in that, doesn't he? Austin Powers is obviously meant to be a British agent, isn't he? But he actually is part British. Yeah. Oh, the cat's scratching himself now. I bet the mic's picking that up, isn't it? But George Harrison and John Lennon are born in the same place as Kim Cattrall as well. Wavertree. Yeah. Oh, both his parents are English. So he must have just grown up in Canada or whatever then. Because yeah, Neil Young is actually Canadian as well, isn't he? A lot of people don't know that. And one of Monty Python is American. The one who did all the animation is actually American. Your mum and dad were Catholic and Protestant, and you got because some families won't allow that, will they? And that, what did they get renounced by their families and shit for that? Yeah, because well, I know people that got excommunicated from the Catholic Church for getting the woman pregnant before they were married, and they actually got excommunicated from their church. And they actually do a thing where they walk around. The priest walks around the church with a candle and then stabs it out on the ground to show you excommunication and shit. Yeah. Like your parents were Catholic and Protestant as well, yeah. Can't have been that religious then, can they? Well, were they? Did it cause problems? I bet it was probably their families were more of a problem than their own personal relationship as well, wasn't it? I bet. Yeah, that never would have happened if you were from Northern Ireland. Oh, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did happen, but yeah. Hard. Yeah, Cynthia Lenzi's first wife. I'm not sure where she was from, because I don't know if she met him once he was famous or if she was from... I don't think she was from Liverpool. I think she met him later. Yeah. After the war, a lot of Brits went to Canada and then to America. Yeah, I suppose because we got connected by the military, they might have got a right to, because of World War II or some shit like that. I don't know. Possibly, yeah, I'd have to look into that. But possibly because we all worked together in World War II, it might have given people certain rights or whatever, yeah. Yeah. Because, like I say, a lot of people don't understand in this in this country because of the Commonwealth. Like people from Jamaica and India and that have a right to come here and live and work and all that sort of shit. And people don't understand it, you know. But it's their right, you know, because they're part of the Commonwealth. Lots more places than I just named are part of the Commonwealth as well. But yeah. Australia, I don't know if I think Australia still is. Canada is still part of the British Commonwealth as well. All right, yeah, it will be, yeah. And there's a lot of French in Canada, isn't there? Did they get invaded by the French at some point and they've settled or what? Yeah, because I know there is a whole French-Canadian thing in there that is not just a little community. It's like literally a big percentage of the country speaks French, don't they? Yeah. Because I used to work at a Catholic monastery and I met a French-Canadian monk. But yeah, I never heard him speak in French. He spoke, English with a Canadian accent, like a Canadian would speak English, you know. But he obviously could speak French as well. Because the monastery on the Isle of Wight, something weird happened in France. Certain forms of Catholicism got outlawed, and Benedictine monks was one of the forms of Catholicism that got outlawed. So all the monks had to retreat, and they came to the south of England basically, and they've set up monasteries all along the south coast of England. And this all happened because something happened in France. You couldn't be a Benedictine monk in France anymore. So they came to England basically, and the community built monasteries for them, and they've been here ever since. And they're all connected to French monasteries. And our one is linked to the monastery in Solesmes, Core Abbey. And there's a monastery for nuns as well called St. Cecilia's Abbey that's also connected to Solesmes. But yeah, that's why they're there, because at one point, being a Benedictine monk got outlawed in France. Yeah. So just sod off. Yeah, I didn't know. It was like, fuck off. Yeah, no. It's not, no, it isn't that harsh. It isn't that harsh a word. Yeah, it's something that you could say to kids, but it is a bit harsh to say to children. Yeah. But it's not quite as bad as fuck off. No, it's not. Yeah, it's not quite as harsh. Yeah. I can't remember what the bloody origin of that word is as well. It's interesting. Sod. What sod is and what it means. Yeah, I'll have to fucking look it up for you so I can tell you. Yeah. Yeah. Being looted. Yeah. Well, it's like I've heard like differing accounts. Well, I know people that have lived in Canada and they've said it's actually not as like utopian as certain people would like you to think. Like And yeah, I know a lot of people aren't happy with the government, aren't they? Yeah, but is any country fully happy with their government ever? It's all part of life, isn't it? Basically, the government is never going to be able to make everyone fucking happy, are they? Yeah. No, it's not. I'm pretty sure. It's not. There's another fucking reason. It's something to do with sods of Earth. Have you ever heard of Earth called sod? In a Christmas Carol, I can't remember which one it is. I think it's is it Wenceslas? They say about he stood on the sod. He walked on sod, and that's the sods of land or something. Yeah, it's to do with that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're traumatized. It is harsh to say to kids, but it's not quite as bad as telling you to fuck off. Yeah, it's like, yeah. It is. It's the UK's natural resource bank. Yeah, well, I don't know what we get. What do we import from there? Yeah, sod of grass and sod of earth. Yeah, it's like that sort of thing. It's to do, I think it's to do with that. The swear. But Mark Oliver might also be right. It might be to do with sodomite as well. That's more appropriate for a swear word, isn't it? Maybe I'll look it up. But I'm sure I've heard that it's to do with sods of grass and earth rather than that. Yeah, it's not something you'd say like to your superior at work or something like that. You know what I mean? It's quite a naughty thing to say, but yeah, so you wouldn't tell your boss to sod off. But it's still not quite as bad as saying fuck him. He's still got relatives in Liverpool. Yeah, I when it's actually a guy contacted us. He wrote to us who had traced the genealogy of our family, and he was somehow related to my dad. And he found my dad, and we got pictures of our one of our ancestors, the oldest photo he could find of one of our ancestors, and that. And we actually went and visited him, weirdly enough, and he lived in this lovely house that had a bloody water wheel next to it. It was an old mill that had been converted into a house. And he showed us a photo album, and we had some kind of distant relative who moved to America. She emigrated to America, so she's American now. And it was a photo of her in the 60s, and she was wearing a Doris Day bikini, this red polka dot bikini. She looked like Doris Day. It was crazy. But that's one of my relatives who emigrated to America in the 60s. From, that's it. Yeah, sod means the soul turf, but the swear word is definitely from sodomite. It probably is more likely, isn't it? Because it's more of an insult, isn't it? Yeah, to call someone. But that's probably why it is a slightly serious swear word as well, because that makes it a sexual swear word, doesn't it? Yeah, so it is a bad swear word. Yeah, I've got to look into that though, because I love these sort of things. The reason that we say these words and what it actually meant originally, because bloody is blasphemy, because it used to be by Our Lady was the swear word that you said, and they changed it to bloody, so it wasn't, and then that became blady by Our Lady. And then now we say bloody, but bloody technically is blasphemy. If you're a Catholic, you shouldn't say the word bloody because the original curse was by Our Lady, which is Mary, obviously. Yeah. Under the sod means buried, doesn't it? Yeah, that's what it means. And I'm sure there's a Christmas carol. I can't remember what bloody one it is. Oh, no. Because I used to have to sing them. I used to be in a choir and Mezzo Alto. Yeah. Oh, what one is it? It's one of the old traditional English Christmas songs. They say about he stepped on sod. I think it might be Good King Wenceslas. To look it up. Yeah, your dad's family came back. You traced your dad's family back to the north of England as well, yeah. And the Proclaimers are Scottish, which is not the north of England, right? That's their own country, but they did a song called "Letter from America," which is about the the big emigration that happened. People coming from Scotland as well as England and Ireland. You had a lot of people come from Ireland because of the famines there and all that sort of shit. That's why you got so many Irish people, and Italy as well. People from Italy, not just Britain, is it? Yeah, it's all. Go and make wassail. No. So wassail, that's just singing Christmas carols. That's what we call. That's what wassailing is. The traditional is going out and singing Christmas carols to people, whether they want you to or not. And drinking. But no, I don't take part in that. Boxing Day as well. You don't have Boxing Day in America, do you? Yeah, that's crazy. And yeah, I had to look into what the fucking reason they call it that was, because I had a myth. The real reason they called it that was in these big posh houses where they had servants. They all lived upstairs. There was like the upstairs, the attic was the room that all the servants fucking lived in like a dormitory thing, or they might have had little separate rooms, but it was like an attic that they lived in. And they got one day off a year, right? And the one day off was the day after Christmas Day. And they gave them a box of presents, and it would be stuff like fruit and pudding and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It would just be like a gift box. And so they called it Boxing Day. And it's because it's the day that the servants were given off after Christmas. So for that's the one day of the year that everyone in the house had to serve their own dinner and all that sort of shit, and cook their own dinner. But yeah, literally, I couldn't believe that. Literally, you never had a day off. There was not one day off of the year except for that one day after Christmas. And they gave you a box of treats, basically, and that's why it's called Boxing Day. Your ancestors were monkeys given an intelligence boost by aliens thousands of years ago to do gold mining. That's one theory, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, no, it's 500 miles, isn't it? But then he walks another 500. To be the man who walked. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and figgy pudding, yeah. That's really confusing to people. That's just Christmas pudding. Yeah. And I don't like Christmas pudding. Most people don't like it nowadays. Most people don't actually have it unless you're a really traditional family. And if you like really sweet tasting stuff, then you might like it. But it's basically a lot of very heavily fruit and sweetened fruit, dried fruit, and yeah, it's just very, very rich. Oh, you like it, do you? Yeah, some people love it, but most people actually don't go for it now. Yeah, and we have a different dessert for after Christmas dinner, so something people like, something. And the supermarkets all do other fancy desserts for people that don't like Christmas dinner, so you can get some kind of really fancy, like gatto or cheesecake or something, yeah. Yeah, that's the definition of Boxing Day. Because I'd heard it was something else, but no, the actual truth of that is it was the one day of the year that the servants got off. And they gave you a box of fucking little, like, sweets and, just like little shit, And I wonder if everyone got the same thing as well, if you all got an identical box. Yeah, but you were never allowed to go and visit your family. Like, if one of your family was dying or something, you had to get special permission to go and stay with your family and shit like that, yeah. You had no fucking weekend off or anything. You were just constantly working. Yeah, I've tried Ben and Jerry's. Yeah, they do Ben and Jerry's over here, yeah. No, I like the fish food one. It's my favourite. But there's so many different flavours. There's newer flavours, isn't there? I've got to try all the newer flavours. Yeah. That's it. The Christmas pudding is still unopened on top of the cupboard. Most British people have a Christmas pudding somewhere that's been there for years and just they've never have fancied it, so they don't eat it. Yeah. Yeah. The old traditional Christmas sushi. Yeah, fucking hell. No, no. Well, there's people who don't like turkey as well, isn't there? They hate turkey, so they have fucking salmon or beef or something instead for Christmas dinner. Don't even eat turkey. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Ben and Jerry's are woke. Well, all companies have had to do it now, haven't they? Because there's it's part of their bloody share score, isn't it? How woke you are. It increases their share price to be woke. Yeah, to the Quality Street chocolates as well. That's a British thing. Well, I don't like Quality Street because they give you too many of the toffees. They give you the shit ones. They're the ones that everyone doesn't like, basically. And it's getting ridiculous now. Like if you buy a tin of Quality Street and you count how many of the toffees that you've been given, the ones that no one likes, it's like 50% fucking toffees now. And roses as well. Cadbury's roses. That's another thing you get a tin of at Christmas. It's a plastic tub now, though, isn't it? It's not a tin. They haven't done the actual tin for years. This was supposed to be goose or ham or turkey. Yeah, I think even in Victorian times they would have still eaten turkey. But we didn't really celebrate Christmas in this country in the same way until Queen Victoria married Albert, and he brought over German traditions. It wasn't. It was just a religious holiday. It was just another day you went to church. It wasn't celebrated in the same way. It was actually brought over from Germany. This tradition. So so it's only for like what, for about 400 years or so, in it that we've actually celebrated it in this way. We've acknowledged Christmas because we're a Christian country for fucking as long as Christianity existed, obviously, but we didn't actually start like putting up a tree and playing games and all this sort of shit until the German guy married the Queen, basically. So what? You have some amazing chocolates making their way to my house from an unspecified Eastern European, Western Asian country that everyone is mad at right now. Oh wow. Hmm. No, that's nice. You got chocolate covered cherries, haven't you? I've got to go and have something to eat. Actually, I had better end this now because I've been going for 2 hours. It'll take longer to process the longer I leave it running. And I didn't do an after show, did I? Yeah, but thanks for coming, everyone. Like I say, if I do a midweek stream, it'll probably be Thursday night next week. And on Sunday, I've got the Krenwinkel stuff to talk about. So yeah, watch that. Excellent. If you're interested, obviously. But it's a pretty good one. And it talks about some shenanigans that happened in court as well. Yeah. Good night, everyone. Thanks for coming. Oh.